Okay, we're going to start building the speaker. And the parts that we're going to be doing today is we're going to be looking at the overall list of materials, and then we are going to build the first stage of the process. So the overall materials, the thing that you're going to have to buy that's the hardest to get is this. This is a amplifier. We'll need to provide it with a power supply and connect it to our audio source, and it will give out a much louder signal. So it will amplify the signal and make it to where our very cheap, low quality, quiet speaker will be loud enough that we can hear it. This is going to be the base of our speaker. This little solo cup, we're going to cut it off short so that it will be the little, just the bottom little bit will be this part of the speaker, and that's going to be the structure that our speaker lives within. We are going to make our diaphragm out of this piece of paper, so we'll just cut a circle that is the same size as the opening to our speaker, to the solo cup after we cut it off, and we'll use a piece of tape to hold it into place. We'll also need 2 straws. One of the straws has to be a slightly smaller diameter than the other so that they can easily insert into each other so that one can move back and forth inside the other one. Inside the smaller straw, we will need to put a few strong magnets. So that will just get press fit into the end. That is one of the hardest steps, but we will manage to push those 3 magnets into the end of the straw. And when we push the 3 magnets into the end of the straw, it will provide a magnetic field that is stabilized by the straw. Finally, the larger straw will need to get wrapped with some coil wire to form a magnet. So to do that, we're going to start out by just collecting some coil wire, and we'll give it a couple of quick wraps and fold it over on itself once, and that's just to give us a good starting point. And that, we'll put a little dab of hot melt glue on the end of that, and when we do, it will hopefully keep us from having the coil unwind on us. So we just put a little dab of hot melt glue right there on the end. And we want to keep that dab of hot melt glue on as small as possible because we want to minimize weight. We want to make this as easy to move as possible. The harder it is for it to move, the slower it will have to move, and so the less high-pitched sounds you'll be able to make because it won't be able to vibrate as fast if there's more weight. Notice we're leaving part of the coil wire sticking out the other end so that we have a piece of coil wire sticking out. Then we just start wrapping. And I find this coil wire gets in the way, so the easiest way is just to push it into the straw, get it out of the way, and we'll just keep wrapping the new coil wire as neatly as we can. The easiest way I've found is wrap it a little bit loosely and then push it up tight. Wrap it up and just keep doing that for a while. When we do that, we get a nice bit of coiled wire around the outside outside of the straw. That looks really neat. Once we have that coil going about a centimeter length of the straw, we'll stretch out the coil wire a little bit, and we'll put a dab of hot melt glue on the end to keep it from uncoiling. So for this, we just bring the hot melt glue gun back in. And this is one of the harder parts, but I'm just going to put just a dab right there at the end. Once again, I want to keep that as small as I can because I want to minimize the amount of weight on this straw. But now we have a coil that is not going to unwind and has both ends sticking out. Eventually we will be cutting off the straw so that there isn't this extra length of straw sticking out this end, and we'll be shortening this side as much as we can. But that is what will become our electromagnet. Now it's just a matter of cutting it off. And we have step one completed. That is step one. So the key features, the things that you most need to make sure you do, is you have to have 2 pieces of coil wire sticking out. If you don't have 2 pieces of coil wire sticking out, one from each end, then you won't be able to produce the electromagnet because you won't be able to pass a current through the wire. And you need to minimize the amount of weight you have on the straw. So you're using as little hot melt glue as you possibly can to get everything to stick together.